Peace. Part 2. Still with Jake, yeah? We give Muhammad Hijab a break for now, right? I want to talk to Jake. Why is Jake important, more important than at the moment? Because of the reverts and people are reading the Quran and then the Sunnis come to them and Shia as well, yeah? When I say Sunni, Shia, all the sects are the same. Sunni because I use the biggest one. So the biggest sect, which is almost like 1.5 billion Sunnis in the world. So that's why I say Jake, because that's important, because people are reading the Quran because of what's happening in Palestine, and the Sunnis going to them and asking them to believe in the Sunnah as well. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to believe in the Sunnah. Jake is a victim. Jake is definitely a victim, and he's a smart guy, but obviously being smart, just smart, right, is not enough, right? It ain't enough, because these people are the Sunnis, clerics, right? And when I say Sunnis, I don't talk about the people that follow Sunnah like I used to. I'm talking about the clerics, the books, the beginning, from the beginning to the end, and how these people, all of us, been brainwashed since birth, right? I was a Sunni as well. I was born a Sunni, right? I actually grew up in mosques, right? My father used to make me go to a mosque, go to uni, go to any study that to do with Sunnis, right? So, like every Sunni I know, you know what I'm saying? Like every Sunni I know, we've been forced into it. They didn't have a choice. I didn't have a choice. They brainwashed us with their ideas, and too many ideas into your head until you think you're stupid. You know what I'm saying? They make you feel stupid when it comes to the most important thing to you. The most important thing to you, right? They're telling you that you're stupid, you don't understand. Let us explain it to you. Do you understand? So Jake is a victim. And why is he a victim? Why I'm saying he's a victim? He's a victim because he was new to this, right? He's obviously, when he was just reading the Quran, he was happy with it. You know what I'm saying? And then, until he started mixing with the Sunnis, and then he actually started suing. He goes like, I want to become a Muslim, yeah? So I have to follow Muslims, because he thinks the majority are right and he's wrong. Do you know what I'm saying? Jake, in that case, become a Christian. There's more of them. Oh, you were a Christian. If you were a Christian, you left all of those. Why didn't you ask the same question? Why are they all 2.3 billion people wrong and I'm right? That's why you left, innit? So 2.3 billion Christians are wrong and you're right. Use the same logic with the Sunnis, right? Because we use the same thing. Because they're all the same. All the rabbis and the priests and the imams and all these ulama do the same thing. They've done the same thing to Judaism, they've done the same thing to Christianity, and they've done the same thing to Islam. All right, created other sects and too many sects and confusion and all the confusion. They create it on purpose because they want you to feel stupid, right? First of all, so you can't talk to them, you can't ask them questions, you can't question them, right? And then they told you, we give you the truth, right? If you want to go to the truth, you have to go through us, right? That's what they've been telling us all their lives, right? Now, Jake, let's listen to the video a bit. I don't want to, I don't mean no disrespect to any reverts, any Sunni. I'm only attacking the ideology, the books, the old books that we all learned from, right? Not the normal Sunni who is going about his days, right? Or, you know what I mean? No, I'm not like being funny to those people, because I'm not supposed to. I can't do that. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about people that they actually brainwashed me. You know what I'm saying? Brainwashed me. Myself. I'm actually talking about myself as a Sunni as well. I used to be a Sunni. All right, let's listen. Let's listen, and then we explain some things to Jake. He might just start thinking.
What advice, or just being nice, or just repeating a point. It's because there's a hukum attached to this, a ruling attached to this. Sorry, Farid.
Yeah, and I heard Sheikh Sharawi, rahimahullah, mention this point about أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا رسوله وأولي الأمر منكم.
You know, if you listen to people like Sharawi, right? This Egyptian cleric, right? You see, that's exactly what I'm talking about. They actually don't even use their heads. It's always a sheikh. It's always that. It's always that. You know what I'm saying? It's always someone. It's always a person who They don't even know. Do you know what I'm saying? They don't even know. It's either dead. Sharawi is dead now, right? Sharawi is dead. So that's what I'm talking about. Follow people. Just follow people. People after people. They don't have brains. You know what I mean? They can't use their own brains. They have to use someone else's brain. And most cases, these people they follow, they're dead. See?
And it's very profound. It's as if he's saying أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول to authorities, and the Prophet ﷺ authority is of course from Allah, but the ta'a to ulil amr is basically conditional on the awliya's ta'a of Allah and the Rasul. So
That's exactly what I said. I didn't need Sharawi to tell me that. The Quran told me that. I didn't need to go and see Sharawi in Egypt or something or whatever, or listen to Sharawi. I just read the Quran. It's obvious, it's clear, that's why. And then if you know this, listen, that's what he said, yeah? That's what he said, it's beautiful, yeah? But he said, if you know this, right, you only obey the God and the messenger when it comes to the Umar of Deen. So why are you listening to your clerics? Why are you obeying your clerics? Why? God here clearly said, you don't obey your clerics, right? You do not obey them, right? You don't obey anyone. You obey the God and a messenger when it comes to deen. But why do you just... And then you said Sharawi as well. Like, you actually brought up an imam who actually told you that you're listening to him. He's saying it's beautiful. But if I say something like that, as a Qurani, like you call us a Qurani, yeah? I don't know, that word, man, using that word, that doesn't matter. You say, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're talking about. You see, I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. Because I'm reading the Quran like it's supposed to be read. See?
So that is actually very, very profound. And I think for somebody who does believe in the Quran, somebody who is a Muslim, they need to take something like that seriously, Sharif. The choice of words, and we know that everything that Allah says in...
Exactly. He's talking about it, but he doesn't practice it. You know what I'm saying? We do practice it. Me, personally, I practice it. That's exactly what I practice. The word in the Quran. Trying to find out the language of the Quran. Trying to find out why things are different in the Quran than the normal Arabic. Why? Because everything is precise. There's no joke about the Quran, man. One word means one thing. The other word means one... There can't be two different words that mean the same thing in the Quran. No way. No way. Do you know what I'm saying? Otherwise the Quran becomes gibberish. And it's confusing and you don't understand. And that's why you don't understand it. Because the Sunnah is a hikmah, is, you know what I'm saying, is a revelation. So hikmah is a Sunnah. A Sunnah is the revelation. You see, it's gibberish. It's gibberish. That's not how you read the Quran.
And it's set for a reason, and it has a hikmah. So I think that's very important. So Jake, you talk. I've heard you talk about a lot of verses. It's not that the verse would explicitly say follow the Sunnah, but it's more that if there was no Sunnah, some of these verses.
Why not? Ask yourself, Jake. Ask yourself a question, all right? Why not? Why not? You read the Quran, yeah? God said there's every detail there. God said there's everything. It's clear. We didn't leave nothing we didn't talk about. And why didn't he just make it clear in a clear verse, right? To follow the speech of Muhammad. To follow the hadith of Muhammad. Follow the Quran and the hadith of Muhammad. Simple. Why God wants to confuse us? Why would God want to create something like that? Divisions. The Quran doesn't create divisions, you see. Puts people together.
Would be incomplete, or the instruction isn't clear. Could you mention some of those, maybe?
Yeah, so I mean, one of my approaches with these hadith rejectors, because I was in that position, is that I try to use the Quran to basically debunk their position, because they don't see hadith as a legitimate authority.
No, we don't. And Jake, I don't know if I told you this or not, yeah? You are being used big time. This lot are using you. You like the first defense, right? Against people like me. Like you used to be a Qurani and then and then, you used to follow the Quran only, and then it wasn't enough for you. Do you know what I'm saying? It wasn't enough for you because there was information that he was looking for. It's obviously when he was looking. Carry on.
Because the Sunnah is not an authority in and of itself, or they just think that we can't know whether or not any of it is really true. So I think it's a bit of a waste of time.
Jay, can we really? Can we? Can you, like, are you convinced 100% that you know if the Prophet said them things or not? Is it like behind reasonable doubt? Is it really? It's not, because their whole ideology about hadith, right, is doubt. They actually say it themselves. It's doubt. It's built on doubt. It's not built on, on concrete.
Hadith, to try to prove hadith, when many times these people, they're not concerned with it. You have to start from the Quran, which is a source that they accept, and demonstrate that you can't even really understand the Quran without recourse to some other material. I mean, you can tell by reading the Quran, and this is something that I appreciated over time, especially having conversations with people.
See? Especially having conversations with people. So Jake, you were clear before. You were guided to the Quran, right? That wasn't a coincidence, by the way, yeah? Because I know you were looking for the truth, yeah? That's exactly what happened. And then, after starting having conversation and watching, doing your research about what Muslims do today, and you said, because look what the Muslims do today, and the Quran's not giving me enough details, so I can do whatever the Muslims do. So the Quran must be not a complete book, because we need another book. We need another source to learn what the Muslims are doing. Do you understand? So because you couldn't believe actually the salat in the Quran is different than what they're doing now. You couldn't believe it, and you put doubt in your head. You know what I'm saying, and other people pushed the doubt. They put more doubts into your head, and that's why you believe what you believe.
That the Quran assumes many times that the reader actually has information apart from it. So
it really doesn't. It really doesn't. It really doesn't, Jake. It really doesn't. It's really precise, the Quran. Very precise. Right? Very precise. It does not ask you to look anywhere else. And the verses you actually said yourself proves it. That the Quran is complete, is fully detailed. That proves it. You know what I mean? That proves it.
Example, it mentions, and this is, people think that these are trivial things, but they're actually important. I mean, when the Quran mentions the 4 sacred months and it talks about Hajj and these different things, it assumes, because actually the wording that's used, it says these are the well-known months. Now, it doesn't actually go and list off and tell you what those well-known months are, because it's assuming that, first of all, the immediate people that were around during the revelation knew what they were. They had access to the Prophet alayhi salam, and they knew what these things were. Now, us today, if we don't have that access, we have to have some other material to go to, and that's what the Sunnah is. It provides contextualization for these type of verses.
Okay, Jay, you started with Hajj, yeah? You're confused with Hajj, yeah? Why are you confused with Hajj? Why did you question Hajj? You need more information to do Hajj, right? But what you see the Muslims do today is not Hajj, it's pilgrimage. You understand? And pilgrimage and Hajj have absolutely nothing to do with each other, right? Did you really read the Quran? You said there isn't. God didn't say that the months are known, right? Didn't say, didn't mention anything. You said that, the Quran, right? First of all, who apparently built a Kaaba, right? The Muslims say is Prophet Abraham, yeah? He built a Kaaba, right? With no proof from the Quran. I'm coming to that, Jake. But keep listening, please, all right? Keep listening, all right? there's other things you should question, right, before you questioned that the Quran is not fully detailed, right? That's because you did not understand what the Quran was talking about, because you're looking at the Hajj the Muslims doing, and you can't get it from the Quran, and you assume the Quran is short, innit? Short of information. But let's just go to the Quran. Right? I'm not going to go use all the verses because I'll be here forever, and these videos are getting very long, right? Let's just say, let's start before you read, right? Before the verse you read, right? Let's start from the beginning. The beginning is Abraham, innit? Because apparently he built that house. He built the Kaaba, didn't he? Okay. Okay, let's not start with that verse, because that verse was for the followers of Prophet Muhammad. Let's just see what happened before that, right? Before that, right? Okay, God said here, Surah Al Imran, chapter 3, verse 96. The first, it's not a house, first of all, it's a home, right? And there's a big difference in the Quran, right? I can't really say it because in Arabic, there's a dar, and there's a bayt, right? In the Quran, there's a word dar, which is like a house, and a bayt, which is a home, right? There's two differences between them. That's why you got to make a house a home. You understand? You even have the thing in English, right? Not every house is a home, is it? No. Okay, that is roughly very close to Arabic in the Quran, the Quranic, the Arab in the Quran, right? Arabic in the Quran, right? So the first home established to the people is the one in Becca, right? Becca is not Mecca, right? As I told you, two words in the Quran, if the word changes, the meaning changes. So Becca can't be Mecca, right? In it, so this home, apparently Kaaba, right? In it are clear signs. The status of Abraham. Whoever goes in it will be safe. And to God people must Hajj the house, the home, right? Not the house, the home, right? If they can. As for those who disbelieve, God does not need anyone. All right. Now, let's really, the Quran, you read it this way, right? Because every word, every letter, every verse has meaning, has wisdom, right? First of all, God said, the first house, I say at home, and I explain what is a home in the Quran, right? So, if this was the first one that Abraham built, right, the Kaaba, that means automatically there is others. Has to be. Do you know what I mean? Has to be. Otherwise it will be the only house, not the first house. You see what I'm saying? In Arabic, it changes. In the أول بيت وضع للناس. Right? It didn't say البيت الوحيد. It's not the only house. There's plenty of houses after that. But this one was the first. Okay. There's only one Kaaba, isn't it? There's no other Kaabas, is it? Alright? According to the mainstream Muslims now, alright? Established to the people. You got to read that. To the who? To the mu'mineen? To the Muslims? To who? To the people. All of them. The whole earth. Okay? Is the one in Becca. Alright? In it, so inside, if it's like in a Kaaba, alright? Let's just say a Kaaba, alright? In this house, alright? There are clear signs, the status of Abraham. Is there any clear signs in this Kaaba? In the Kaaba, is there clear signs of the status of Abraham? Is there? Inside it. God said it inside it. Right? Whoever goes in it will be safe. So whoever goes inside the Kaaba will be safe. Really? Can we go inside this Kaaba? We can't go inside this Kaaba, man. It's this house. You call it a house, right? Can't go inside it. We're not allowed. And really, if you go inside the Kaaba, you safe? You really safe? You go inside the building and you safe? Okay. I don't think so. Okay. And to God, people must Hajj. the house. I call it the home, right? If they can. As for those who disbelieve, God does not need anyone. So I'm confusing. God is inviting everyone to go to this house, to Kaaba, yeah? And then whoever goes in it, he'll be safe, right? And then the disbelievers, God does not need anyone. First of all, God here, if it's a house, he's not talking about, what does the disbelievers go with people that goes into a Hajj? So there's no context here, you know what I'm saying? If the house here is a building, then the last verse here makes no sense. Because why God's just talking about the disbelievers when he's actually calling out for people? If God said the first house established to the Muslims, right, then that verse makes sense. Disbelievers make sense, right? But God is not talking about Muslims, he's talking about people altogether, all people, just people, you understand? And then he said, as for so anyone can go into this house, right? Right? God didn't say here you have to, believers go to this house. It says anyone can go to this house, right? But the people that don't want to go to this house, they're disbelievers. Makes no sense. Do you understand? Makes no sense because a lot of Muslims don't go to this house, to Kaaba. It doesn't mean they're disbelievers. Alright, that's the first verse. Alright. Second verse, Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verse 1 to 7. As Abraham raised the foundation from the house, right? From the house, right? I call it a home, and I'll tell you why later. You get it, just follow me, yeah? And you get the context later. As Abraham raised the foundation from the house, right? And Ishmael, our Lord, accept this from us. You are the hearer, omniscient. So, God here didn't say Abraham built a house. Because he would say, as Abraham raised the foundation of the house. That would make sense, innit? That means he started a foundation and he built the house after. But God said here, from this house, from within the house, he raised the foundations. So this can't be Mecca, Kaaba. This can't be Kaaba. Can't be physical thing. I'm saying can't be. Because from within this house, he raised these foundations. He didn't build nothing here. This verse doesn't tell me that Abraham built a house. You know what I mean? It didn't. That Abraham built the Kaaba with his son. It doesn't. This verse doesn't. And read it in Arabic. It said, min al-bayt. Min al-bayt. Min al-bayt. From within the house. Right? That's the second verse. Let's go with the third verse. Right? Chapter 22, verse 27. And that's Surah Al-Hajj. Yeah? وأذن في الناس بالحج يأتوك رجالا وعلى كل ضامر يأتين من كل فج عميق. Right? In English, and proclaim, it's not to proclaim. I couldn't find the right. Adhin is to call out, not proclaim. To call out to the people. See again, Jake. And proclaim, he's talking about Prophet Abraham here, yeah? And proclaim to the people. You see, people, not the Muslims, not the mu'mineen, no one. To the people, you understand? Of the Hajj, right? They will come to you, here, translated as by foot. By foot. When he says rijala, it's not by foot. It's not. Rijal in the Quran, or men, right? That's only men, but they include women. That word rijalan include women. That's why the Quran is different. You see, it's different than the Arabic, the normal Arabic we read, right? Because it all makes no sense, right? Why would they only have to come with by foot? So I mean, if someone's coming from Australia, right, he ain't gonna come by foot, is he? He has to use an airplane. He has to use a lot of things. So for me to do Hajj, so I have to start now walking, and I can't walk. When I get to the separate like an English channel, what do? Walk over water? You don't. You know what I'm saying? You don't. So here, they actually translate it to by foot. It's not. Right. Yeah, tuka rijalan. That means the word rijal is include men and women who are right, responsible. People who are able to add to the cause of things. You know what I'm saying? Not people like just men, all right? Just men, all right? The Hajj, all men goes to it, but you know that's not true. You know, men and women go to Hajj. You know that. So the word rijalan is the responsible people. People with responsibilities, people with their knowledge, people who can help this cause, which is a Hajj. All right? Okay? You get it now. Now, let's give you a difference between, before we go to your verse you actually brought up, yeah? Let's go to a verse that proves, all right, that the Quran, right, is very precise when he says a home or house are two different things. In Arabic, al-bayt, right, this word exists in the Quran, and the word dar, which exists in the Quran, right? Okay. Let's see where are we? Now, let's find out what the word house, like a building, like a physical building, right? Al-Hajj, verse 22, chapter 39. In Al-Hajj as well, in the same verse, right? Question this, Jake. أذن للذين يقاتلون بأنهم ظلموا وإن الله على نصرهم لقدير الذين أخرجوا من ديارهم, right, until the end of the verse, because there's two verses here, 39 and 40. Read both of them. I have to stop here, otherwise it's very long, right? And I do write things down. I don't want to make the video too long, right? So, أذن للذين يقاتلون بأنهم ظلموا وإن الله على نصرهم لقدير. This is verse 39. And then verse 40 starts الذين أخرجوا من ديارهم بدون حق إلا أن قالوا ربنا الله. Okay, let's read it in English. In English, right? Permission is granted to those who are being persecuted, since injustice has befallen them, and God is certainly able to support them. They were evicted from their houses. To the end of the verse. So, God here is telling us, these people, right, they're evicted from their houses. Diyarihim. He didn't say buyutihim, he said diyarihim, right? So, if sunnah is a hikmah is a sunnah, and that makes no sense, like I explained the last time. So, bayt and dar is not the same thing. You can't say, ukhriju min buyutihim. You can't say that. You can't say they've been evicted from their homes, right? Because the two things don't mean the same thing in the Quran. And I come to that. I will explain it to you. I don't know, right? I don't know. Just probably I need to be more clearer. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But I can talk to you man to man. I can give you my phone number. You can call me. We can have a conversation on TV in your channel. But it has to be a good conversation. You understand? So God gave permission, granted permission to these people being prosecuted and evicted from their home, their houses, basically, their houses, right? And then in the same chapter, Jake, 22, verse 27. No, sorry. In the same, Surah Al-Ankabut gives you the best example, right? And there is Surah Al-Nahl, gives you the best example as well. But I'm just going to give you one example about the spider, right? And then you can look into the Nahl, right, which is the bees. How God told them to build homes. He said to the bees to build a home, right? He didn't tell them to build a house, right? And you understand why? What's the difference between a bayt and a dar? A house and a home, right? Surah Al-Ankabut, chapter 29, verse 41. مثل الذين اتخذوا من دون الله أولياء كمثل العنكبوت اتخذت بيتا. See the Ankabut, اتخذت بيتا. He didn't say dar, he said بيتا. وإن أوهن البيوت لبيت العنكبوت لو كانوا يعلمون. Right? So here the word buyut showed up three times, right? I translated it for you. the example of those who follow their masters instead of God, right? Like a spider's home. He's giving you an example. The people that follow their masters, their clerics, the other people, anyone, right? Right? Instead of following God, and the God said, follow the Quran, right? They're like spiders' home. They build the spell. It's like a spider's building a home, and the weakest homes is the home of the spider. If they only knew. So why God would say that? Why the home of the bees is different than the home of the spider? Why? Why they said it's really weak? Why the example between the people? What's the example between the people that follow their masters and the home of the spider? Simple. Let's go back and see how the spider lives. Right? Spider lives a web, builds a web. Right? Builds a web. Right? A female does that, isn't it? And then she hides. Okay? And then she catches whatever there is to catch. She'll eat. And then she have what? And the male spider comes in. Right? She needs to mate. Right? So male spider comes in. She mates with him. And then what happens after that? She'll eat him. She'll trap him and then eat him. Right? And then when the babies grow up, right? When the babies grow up, they eat their own mother. You see at the web, the home of the spider, the web is all bad. It's terribly bad. It's just like the wife eats the husband, and then the husband eats and then the kids eat the wife. It's terrible. How about the bees? Why God told the bees to make a home? Look how the bees work. Look how the bees work, right? They work like a web of relations, isn't it? You know, they have like a lot of people have different things to do, right? And they all related to each other, and they all work together. Do you know what I'm saying? They all work together. Each one of them have a responsibility, but they all work as a web. They have a web of information, web of responsibility, all right, to make that house a home. Because it works perfect. There's no selfishness. Everyone is equal. Everyone knows what to do. You see, that's why God said Bayt and Nahl. And the difference between Bayt and Nahl and an Ankabut is selfishness. Do you know what I'm saying? It's selfishness. Everyone is selfish. You know what I'm saying? Everyone eats everyone. And that's why God gave you that example. If you follow your masters, that's what happens to you. Start eating each other, killing each other, going against each other, calling each other names, and like a spider web. See, Jake, you have to know what a home is. Then I come back to your verse now, right? I'll give you a break now. I come back to your verse, and your verse will make sense, right? Okay. Surah Al-Hajj, yeah? You said Hajj should be observed in the specific known months, right? Whoever sets out to observe Hajj should refrain from sexual, like the bad sex outside of God's laws, yeah? Right? Like prostitution and that. And any misconduct and arguments through Hajj, whatever good you do, God is fully aware thereof. As you prepare your provisions is righteousness. You shall observe me, all you that possess intelligence. See? People is talking to people who possess intelligence, right? You have to be intelligent, right? To understand the Quran, to really understand the Quran. And you need to work hard on it. Okay, here you said, your question was, so those months are known, right? And you forgot that who started all these things? Prophet Abraham, isn't it? Yeah? If you believe Prophet Abraham built the Kaaba, so you should believe these people had Hajj as well. Yeah? You should. Yeah? You should. You ain't got no choice, right? Because they were mushrikeen. They had idols, but they still kept the Hajj, but they were doing it wrong. You understand? Like you're doing it wrong today, alright? They were doing it, but doing it wrong. Yes, the months are known to them. To these people, the months are known. So you can't really debate that, right? I can't debate that either. This is true. It is. It's known. They are known to them. To those people, they are known, right? Because these people had Hajj. They were doing Hajj, right? Right? But God here is telling them whatever you're doing is wrong because He commanded them to do things. Right? You have to refrain from having crazy sex, right? Crazy sex like outside God's law, like they probably were having it in the streets or something, prostitution and having all them houses and shit, yeah? So, look at these specific things. It's asking these people, this rijal, right? These responsible people, right? To go to observe the Hajj, right? Not observe, but whatever. To go to this Hajj, right? To do this Hajj, yeah? And they should refrain from having, basically being like fusq, yeah? Fusq, which is like anything to do with sexual things, really. Outside the laws of God, right? Like prostitutions and co, basically, right? Don't do any misconduct. And do not argue. Do not argue, right? It's just do not argue. Like, don't argue. It's like, why would... Anyway, I'll come to that. Do not argue. Through Hajj. So whilst you're doing this Hajj, right? Do not argue. Do not have sexual craziness, right? And do not do any misconduct. And do not argue. Just be... Obviously, it's telling him to be just, to be righteous, wasn't it? Yeah, it's telling him to be righteous, fully righteous. Whatever good you do, God is fully aware. So God is asking us, whatever good we do in the Hajj, God is fully aware. So He knows what we're doing. Yeah? Thereof. As you prepare, your provision is righteousness. Right? Our provision is righteousness. You know what I mean? So, okay, let's go. You shall observe me, all you possess intelligence. Question. I'll have to ask you here. I'll have to ask you questions. So God, you're saying here, God didn't say specific months. To us, yeah? So we don't know. Right? Because He didn't read the rest of the verses that go together with it. Go to Surah Al-Ma'idah, chapter 5, verse 96. All fish in the sea are made lawful for you to eat. During Hajj, right, which is the Ash'ar al-Haram, you said 4, right? This may provide for you during your journey, right? And forbidden for you to hunt throughout the pilgrimage. You shall reverence God, before whom you will be summoned. Now, what's this verse is telling you? God allowed us to eat fish in the Hajj, but He didn't say do not eat meat. If the verse said do not eat meat, I might make you right. Alright? Still a bit iffy, but I might make you right. But God said here, do not hunt. He's forbidden to hunt, right, on those months. Why? Why is it forbidden to hunt exactly on those months? It's happening today, isn't it? You see it today. When animals are mating, and most 99.9% of the animals, that is their mating time. Right? When? When do they meet? I won't even tell you the months, right? I'll ask anyone. When do animals start breeding? It goes March, April, May, June. Do you know what I mean? So, if you use your intelligence, 1 + 1 = 2. Do you understand? It doesn't equal 3. So basically, the months are the Ash'ar al-Haram is the months that animals breed. That's why God said, do not hunt. Because if we hunt, let's say if everyone hunts when animals are breeding, the world will be a mess. A terrible mess. As fasad fil ard, Jake. Right? So the months are known. Even to us. Just by reading this verse. I got from it, this is definitely, God said, He didn't say do not eat meat. Because He said you can, or the fish is halal. It's lawful. You can eat it. But do not hunt. He didn't say do not eat meat. Do you understand? He didn't forbid the meat, did he? Because we can eat meat any time of the year. But we can't hunt certain months of the year, can we? I mean, you see it now. People are, you can't hunt it nowadays, all right? Right, you probably never read this verse, right? Just normal people being decent, right? Never heard this verse. There's people out there never heard this verse, but he will not hunt when when animals are hunting. None to us, Jake. None to us. You're not reading it properly. You confuse yourself with these people. They confuse you. Now, let me talk to you about what you didn't question. Right? What you didn't question is why do we? I mean, after all these verses that the home which God is talking about here, the house, is nothing to do with a building, right? It's a home to people who want to become Muslims, right? Right? It's the law of God, right? It's the law of God. It's a home to everyone who wants peace. You understand? That's why when you go in it, you're safe, right? You can go to, because it's not a physical house, Jake. It's not a physical house. So you need to go in it. It's spiritual. It's relations. See? Just like the relation of the bees. Not the relations of the spider. When we eat. See, Jake. Simply. Alright, reading all these verses together, right? I can only come with one conclusion. The conclusion is God asked the Prophet Abraham to set. There's rules, he got the rules, which is usually is Sirat al-Mustaqim, which is the halal, right, and haram, right? To set the deen, right? Obviously, God, right? And then Abraham called out the people that lived around that area, right? Because obviously there was no rules or regulations or nothing like that. So to establish, let's say, constitution. First of all, the constitution, right, is hudud Allah. You start with haram, what you're supposed to do, what you're not supposed to do. Basically Islam, yeah? And he called that everyone, right? Everyone, not Muslims, everyone around this area, right? Let's establish some sort of order, okay? To establish some sort of order on earth, okay? And that's why he called the response, that's why God said, Ya'tuka rijala. All the responsible people that, you know what I mean, like that they're in charge of their own people who have qualifications, people who can do things, you know what I'm saying? People can do things, to come to him, right? To discuss, right? To have, like, what it is now, it's a house of parliament. It exists now. And that's why God is the first house, right? Let's say, for instance, give you an example as a first house of parliament. Start with this idea, right? And those months, right, is peace. Even enemies become peaceful because they need to negotiate. They need to come to some sort of agreement not to fight again. And those months has to be in months that animals are breeding, so we can't hunt. Right? Now, with this thing in your head, like some sort of house of parliament. I mean, God's law comes first, right? Which is the commandments, right? And then after that, the law between us. Do you understand? So we could never ever touch the commandments. They're all fixed, right? Fixed laws, right? That's Islam. That's the bait, right? And then the bait, right? How it becomes a bait when we people get together, okay, and be peaceful, negotiate, debate, have conversations, how we can live with each other, right? to stay away from other people's, each other's limits, and we can work together as a web like the bees do. That's the home. Read it with this idea in your head. Read all the verses of the Hajj. You come to the same conclusion. And all this Safa wal Marwa, that's another subject, because I can go through all of them. It's nothing to do with tawaf. Going around the building is tawaf. It's not a tawaf. Tawaf is not going around the building. It's a hawaman, right? Yahum. That's in Arabic language. But tawaf in the Quran is to keep going to that place. So every time you have a chance, you keep going to that place, not going around the building. That makes no sense. Why God asked us that anyway? And let's look at the Hajj now, right? Let's look at what's going on in Hajj now, please, right? Because you questioned the Quran. You questioned the Quran after knowing that it says it's complete, right? You question that because you couldn't see, because obviously you couldn't find things that what the Muslims doing now in the Quran. But what they're doing is wrong, okay? First of all, it costs you about £6,000-7,000 to go to Hajj, isn't it? Roughly, right? So basically here, a lot of people in the world don't have this money. So they don't have a chance to go to Mecca. So God is already punishing the poor. And لِمَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا, it's nothing to do with money. Nothing to do with money. لِمَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا, whoever can. God here is the people with he's talking about people with qualifications. If I have got nothing to give that bait, right? I don't have to go to that place. I don't have to get that house of parliament that Prophet Abraham built. Because I'm not going to give him anything. I'm not rich. I'm not smart. I can't give him anything. That's why God liman istata ilayhi sabila. Whoever, these people who can. Not for everyone to go there. People in charge. People who run things. People, clever things. People with money so they can help. See, it's like a house of parliament. Right? But what you didn't question is, right? So the poor can't go to the Hajj, yeah? People now is punishing the poor, right? Although they tell you, I just said it, right? The second thing, why do we go there and kiss the stones and kiss buildings and then they open the shrine of the Prophet Muhammad, apparently is buried there. As soon as they open the shrine, you see them, thousands of them just running and like falling and mad. I mean, mad. I mean, why? I mean, what's that going to do? And you see women with men really close together, like groping each other, mixing everywhere. So tight space, right? And then in the mosque, when you pray, you segregate male from female. Just makes no sense, contradictions, you see what I'm saying? And the verse you read from, yourself said, Ramadan is months. Known months, isn't it? Known months. That means months. Why Hajj now is 2 days or 1 day? They stay there for 10 days, but the Hajj is about 1 day or 2 days max. Why? I mean, why God is saying months, and then we're crowding 3 million in the same place, right? And then all these accidents happen that people die. Go to Hajj and then die. Go to Mecca, die in Mecca. And people they wish they can die there. And then I'm like astonished. Why would you want to die there? What difference does it make if you die there in the Kaaba? Do you know what I mean? Makes no sense. You put 3 million people in 1 week in a really tight spot, and then all these accidents happen, right? Then, the worst thing about this, right? The worst thing about this Kaaba thing, yeah? Right? It's supposed to be the safe. God here says that house is safe, but it's not safe, is it? It's been, terrorists went into it, it's been demolished about 6 times. The Sahaba destroyed it. It was destroyed how many times, and then the terrorists went in it, and all these cranes falling, and all this rain. A lot of people died there, so it can't be safe, can it? That's not what the bait is. That's not what God said the bait is. You know what I'm saying? He said the bait is safe. You go in there, you're safe. Right? It's not a safe place, is it, to be? If terrorists go in there and the war happens inside that building, man. Come on, right? So many things in my head, so many things. It's unbelievable, man. And then why do you wear that? Why do you wear, God asked you to wear that? Women wear the same thing, but man has to wear differently. Why do you wear that? I mean, what's that for? What's that uniform from? Got to think about that, right? Remember, yeah? In a verse you said, right? They were doing the Hajj wrong. You know what I mean? And you're doing the Hajj wrong now. You know why? Because the Prophet died, everything's changed back to the way it was. Just adding a bit of Islam into it. Just using Islam to build a religion that the Arab, which is the hypocrites, were already doing it before the Prophet. So they only went back. As soon as the Prophet died, they started killing each other and that. And then the hypocrites won. And then they went back to their own Hajj, which is he doing now, which is idol worshipping. Idol worshipping. And the funniest thing about it is, right, this month's, right, the harams, you just talked about them, yeah? They set months, you said specific set months, right? Yeah, I agree with you, set months. It's a breeding time for animals, right? Set, they don't move. Why in your Sunni calendar, they move? So Ashar al-Haram move. So Muharram can be in the summer, can be in winter, can be in spring, can be in autumn, can be any time. So what does it mean? What does that mean? If you're going to move Ashar al-Haram, they move, that means the Ashar al-Haram will be in winter, wouldn't it? It will come the time when Ashar al-Haram is in winter, And then obviously, so you can't hunt in the winter. So any other months after that you can hunt. So you can hunt when animals are breeding. It's just mad. It's just mad, Jake. Honestly, get out of it. Any Sunni, anyone is reading that. Get out of that crap, man. Because it makes no sense. It's just, what is that? It's just confusing. Your birthday moves. When that calendar is mad. Your birthday, I was born in August the 14th, and then next year I'm born like 10 days later, 10 days before, or 10 days later, or before, or later, whatever. Do you know what I mean? 10 days later, yeah. So I'm born in September, and I'm born in October, and I'm born. So I'm saying I'm growing up before my time here, mate. Do you know what I mean? In the Hijri, I might be like 10 years older. You know what I mean? Come on, man. Honestly, this is a joke. This is an obvious thing. It's an obvious thing. Unless you just, that's it, deaf, dumb, and blind. Like God says. It's not, you have eyes, but you're not seeing. You have eyes, man. You have eyes. You have a heart. You see with your heart, man. You don't see with your eyes. You don't follow with your ears, man. It's your heart, man. Your heart and your mind. They have to work together. They have to be in sync, you know what I mean? And your senses help you know what's wrong, what's this, what's that. Your senses, use your senses, your logic, right? Which is your heart, really. And then you use your head as well at the same time. You have to be intelligent. Ulil albab. This is just a Hajj, yeah? It's going to be a long video, I'm afraid. Alright, this is part 2.